Well, Socrates is on the rise. He's on the come up. Is that right? Because of Agnes Callard. That's a person I truly admire, man. Like for her eccentricity, her writerliness, her public facing philosophy. But I want to say that Socrates is not who she thinks he is. She probably can read it in Greek, but I'm not. I don't think that's really going to help. Um, I heard Agnes Callard say. I think I heard this live when we were at dinner after she gave a lecture one time. Say that every philosophy person had a moment where they fell in love with Socrates. And I'll just say, like, the first time I read Plato's dialogues, which was undergrad, freshman year, I had the opposite response to Socrates. Um, Now, Callard also seems to argue something like this and the book is really very good and readable in lots of ways. Uh, that the purpose of human life is philosophical dialogue, finding the truth together. In some ways, I kind of do think that philosophy, in some ways, is the telos of human life. Like as if we're here to figure out what here is and what we are. I mean, in my heart of hearts, I feel that. But what I want to point out just right now is that the dialogues of Plato are not. I mean, we can talk about different periods, supposed different periods of his authorship, and so on. Socrates, as depicted in Plato, is not someone who is engaged in open debate with equal interlocutors that genuinely doesn't know what the conclusion is before he starts. Not at all. Like, oh my God. Rather, he's lecturing. For the most part, he's lecturing at people, although, sometimes he's doing it by asking rhetorical questions that, for the most part, he definitely knows the answers to, according to himself. And the interlocutors are falling all over themselves, page after page, speech after speech, to agree slavishly to a series of fallacies. I'd say it's almost always the case. There are very few valid arguments anywhere in Plato, okay? I think of Plato, this is a hard thing to say about the founder of philosophy, as a very poor arguer. Really, I mean, just compare him to his student Aristotle, okay? But so the persona of Socrates as this person that doesn't know anything, is the wisest man in Athens because he knows he doesn't know. Everyone else thinks they know, but he shows them they don't know, is disingenuous, okay? And the sheer agreement, the difference, you can't have a dialogue where you're lecturing and someone's just nodding. Okay, that is not a dialogue. Okay, but that is the form of the Platonic dialogue. So whatever Callard or whatever your professor or whatever may have said about what philosophy is in Plato, or what Socrates does in the Platonic dialogues as this open-ended inquiry into the truth, I don't think so. And let me just give you the real flavor here. I'm going to read the speeches of the interlocutors from a portion of Book 3 of the Republic. I feel like I could do this almost anywhere in the Republic, sure, and almost anywhere in any of Plato's dialogues, anywhere where Socrates is speaking. Anywhere where Socrates is speaking, there's a dozen young, pretty yes men going, very true, Socrates, absolutely. I just want to, how hard can I agree with you, bro? And to the point where it's unreadable, really. I mean, Plato has a lot to recommend him as a literary figure, and I did try it in Greek for a little while. But, and actually some of the scenarios and some of the characters are compelling. But this is not compelling. The dialogue form, where I give a speech and someone goes, oh, very true, very, absolutely, definitely. All right, so here we are I've got Grube's translation. Book 3, we're at 391. I'm just going to read some of the interlocutors' remarks as they together seek the truth. Do they, though? Of course. Absolutely. We have. Obviously. Why not? I know so. Do you think so? I know so. You'd be right to make that reply. That's very true. What else could it be? I do. That's right. Of course. We certainly will. Certainly. That's right. I understand. I understand that too. Now I understand what you were trying to say. That's 3 consecutive short paragraphs where Socrates says something and Adeimantus says, I understand. I understand. I understand that too. Now I understand what you were trying to say. So from a literary standpoint, let me ask you this. What do you get out of those bits? Like, what cognitively is happening? Are you really supposed to be buying into the fiction of this dialogue? Are you supposed to be reading like a novel or generating characters in your head or something? Well, he's not giving you anything to do that with. Fine. He would indeed. No, he can't. I did, and you're quite right that the same people can't do both. They are. That's absolutely true. I have indeed. That's absolutely right. No, they mustn't. That's absolutely true. That seems likely. That's precisely how the pattern for each speaker must be. That too is certain. That's precisely what he'll do. That's exactly right. Necessarily. Yes, it is the most pleasing. Indeed, it doesn't harmonize. That's true. That is certainly what we'd do if it were up to us. I agree. Clearly. Yes, I do know that. They must. Of course. We did indeed. Did we say X and Y and Z? We did indeed, Socrates. Certainly. How could they not be? Apparently not. Clearly. This is all in just a few pages, man. That's what our argument shows. By God, it doesn't seem as though we are. And he's agreeing that we aren't. Lord knows, or I don't want to know what we're agreeing to. Of course. No, I certainly don't. Of course. Yes. That's absolutely certain. They must indeed. Absolutely. Yes, I agree that those are the reasons. True. In case you're following along, we're now on page 402, marginal page 402. Absolutely. That's absolutely essential. It certainly would. Of course. Very much so. That's right. No, it hasn't. By God, Socrates, no, it must not come into it. That's right. I agree. Of course, the very same. Certainly, they are. Perhaps it would. I have noticed that. That's how it seems to me, too. That's right. Absolutely. Certainly. That's absolutely true. How could it be otherwise? It does. Indeed. I don't know, man. Should I? It probably does. On and on and on. The first time I read Socrates, the first time I read Plato, I couldn't stand the disingenuous character of Socrates. And I couldn't stand the setup of these dialogues, man, where it's just like, oh, go, bobbleheads. And it's just the opposite of what it presents itself as being. And I'm afraid it's just the opposite of what Agnes Callard presents it as being. That is a genuine quest, an open, multi-person project to find the truth. This is a multi-person project to abjectly abase yourself before the expertise of the great Socrates. It's a little hard for me to believe that people read these dialogues without seeing that first thing, man. So, I mean, Agnes Callard goes out and debates people and shit like this, but I don't think that she's going to debate me on this, right? But I just want to qualify the current, little wave of Socrates admiration. Very true, little crispy. Absolutely, little crispy. This is what I want Agnes Callard to do. Okay, no, I love Agnes Callard, so I shouldn't be talking like this. But if she wants to respond, she can respond like this. I certainly do see that, crispy. Oh, I absolutely agree. Yes, yes, yes. All right. The character that Callard describes would be admirable.